It's a strategy we've seen many times at Katowice over the last couple of years. Very likely that will be coming out, and it's going to be an interesting start. We're going to be going on to Alcyon for map 1, a big Terran versus Zerg match to start us off. Any nerves that are going to be out there, they're going to be coming out big time in the first match of the entire tournament. In the bottom left side of the map, representing Shopify Rebellion, hailing from Canada, it is Scarlett.
And her opponent, representing Poland as well as Na'Vi. In the opposite corner of the map, it's Spirit. You're absolutely right, though. This is the first match you're playing, and immediately you have to go onto the stage, right? Which is one of those moments where, yeah, sure, you may be performing really well online when you're playing from the comfort of your own home, but playing at a stage when you can see an audience and a different setup and everything else, it certainly is something a bit different. Now, is this going to be a command center first right here for Spirit? Yes, it is. So he is not afraid.
Nice economic way to start things off for the Terran. Alcyon's a map which is, we've seen our fair share of late game on this map. I do think the Watchtower is a big advantage to Terran in the mid game, though. You've got an incredibly choked up area around that. Very hard for the close-range Zerg units to actually get on top of them. And the amount of map control you get from controlling that area, if Zerg wants to go around, they have to go all the way around, either behind the minerals or up the far left side of the map. And it's very difficult, especially if these rocks are still up, for the Zerg to avoid the frontal Terran push.
Absolutely. Spirit, though, not afraid of an early game push right here from Scarlett. Scarlett opening up with a hatchery first as well, which is, of course, something we expect from Zerg players. But every once in a while, they will throw a curveball where the command center on the low ground, well, it would put you in a world of trouble. Scarlett is not going to see the scouting SCV, but she will get a glimpse of it in just a moment. And that's really just to confirm that that command center on the low ground was not a mistake.
Around the time of Atlanta at the end of last year, Scarlett was having a lot of fun with Mass Hydralisk against Terran. She was like really Mass Hydralisk. We're talking, let's skip melee upgrades and get range instead and get 30 Hydras with the Ling Bane and get a silly economy up. We'll see if she can find the room to do that. I always look at that style and on paper say, this can't be serious. This can't be the best way to play a tournament. And she'll beat top players with it. And I'll go, that's crazy. But she's just got such an explosive macro ability if she gets a good start. And that's why I feel like Spirit has that kind of onus on his shoulders before the game even starts. If I can't let her get going, you know, let's not give her the map. Yeah, I've done a greedy opening, that's cool. Now let's get on top of her. As soon as I got, you know, Hellions on the map, Liberators going around, once you got the Marines out, you have to be in her face or she will run away with the macro.
Couple of Zerglings sneaking around the left side of the map. That Reaper looking around. So luckily for Spirit, he did not actually send that unit across the map. One of the links right now, barely poking out of the shadows there, but ultimately the Reaper is at home.
Fresh mules, fresh mules.
Killing a mule would be massive.
The mules, when they just land, are very, very valuable pickoffs. Two SCVs is really good.
All right, ultimately the Reaper is going to be able to get rid of all of these units, but a bit of lost mining time, and obviously 4 Zerglings is 100 minerals, 2 SCVs is also 100 minerals, so I don't think Scarlett is going to be upset about this early game at all.
Yeah, I mean, I reckon at least 1 mule trip each got wasted there with the micro. Each one of those is 25 minerals as well, so straight up value is great. Starport, of course, coming down along with that third command center for Spirit as the Queens start to spread creep. And with the Ling speed, but also we've got a worker mining gas, we've got a few more Lings coming out. This is looking like Scarlett wants to play her favorite style. Just Ling Bane. Ever since 2013, she's been one of the best players in the world at the forefront of playing a kind of solid Ling Bane macro opening. So this is what she loves to do.
Over the last couple of months, we've seen quite a few of the top-level Zergs, like, for example, Serral and Raynor and Dark. They've been focusing a lot on Roach openers rather than straight Ling Bane. Usually, they will still transition towards Ling Bane a little bit later on into the game, so Scarlett apparently not really making that side trip to Roaches. She just wants to go straight into those Zerglings and Banelings here, but nice little bit of harassment here to get things started for Spirit.
Roaches hit an expiry date. Ling Bane doesn't. Ling Bane is pretty much always good. Great focus fire for Spirit, I like that. Catches a few Zerglings that she had stacked up. It is an exceptionally safe Hellion Banshee with a greedy third command center off of a command center first. So, I mean, we were asking, how is Spirit going to play this series? safe, solid standard seems to be the answer. He feels like he can take Scarlett in just a straight-on macro battle.
Scarlett not getting any vision right there of the main base can be a little bit annoying. She will see the timing of the Banshee in just a moment, so that at the very least is going to give her confirmation that there's very likely a third command center as well. It's going to indeed be Stimpack on the back of this. Well, now the third CC is already flying on down to the low ground, and this really is a big Terran economy right from the start. Lair coming up as well for Scarlett. We are expecting a Baneling nest here right about right now. It's important not to forget about that.
Got to make Baneling speed the moment that Lair finishes, normally. And no second gas yet. I mean, we got to focus on the fact that she knows he's being greedy. She is going for a very quick fourth on location. So she is clearly trying to kind of match his economy. And she's going straight either Hydras or Infestors, mate. The fact that she doesn't have a Baneling nest, she's doing it.
It could just be for an an Overseer here?
I'm hoping for Infestors. It has to be Infestors or Hydras, and we're going to see the moment that Lair finishes what structure she goes for. This is special tactics.
Oh, double upgrades coming up right now. There's the Hydra then.
It's Mass Hydra, man! I can't believe it. I figured, you know, it's been a few months. Maybe the Terrans have figured this out, but she didn't have great success in that tournament. She didn't have a big target on her back. Not that many Terran players watched those games. And now she's coming out with it and saying, you know what? I've got 3 bases full of workers. I'm already droning my 4th before the 6-minute mark. Let's just go straight to Hydralisks. And Hydras take away Terran's momentum. Normally, Terran can pick away with their superior range. Hydras have the same range as Marauders. They have more range than Marines. There is not a lot you could do here if she's got Hydras on the field at the 7-minute mark.
And she's going into the main base right now. Spirit already pre-cloaked them, so no vision here for Scarlett until right now. A couple drones indeed will end up falling. Nice bit of harassment, but you're absolutely right. Figuring out that it's Hydras here is actually very critical. Now, this is Siege Tank play here from Spirit, so at the very least he got that one right. But yeah, the Hydra is an interesting unit, right? It's one of those units that usually is a supportive unit, as one of the Queens is a bit in a bit of trouble.
One Queen does get sniped. Scarlett, not too happy with that, but it's, of course, not a killer blow or anything like that. Hydrogen has not been scouted. The Hydras have not revealed themselves to our knowledge. There is a bunker coming up on the 3rd base. Siege Tank's very good versus Hydras, as you pointed out. You know, they've got the long range. Hydras, otherwise they can set up a concave. And Hydras, because they don't have the movement of like Stim Marines and Marauders, you can have massive overwhelming numbers, but Hydras can't really break a position. Because if the Terran keeps pulling back and kind of stutter stepping and they have Siege Tanks, watching Hydras push through a choke point is one of the most excruciatingly painful thing for a Zerg player to watch. It is like terrible. They're good at defending when they've got the concave, and they are terrible at attacking through choke points.
There is an infestation pit on the back of this too right now for Scarlett, so she may be thinking about going into Lurkers and Hive Tech here momentarily. At this point, Spirit does not know what he's playing against, so he is going to go for what is considered to be his standard move out, Combat Shield, Stimpack, 1-1 upgrades, all of it is, well, finishing up at this point. Is Spirit prepared to play against Mass Hydra? Because Scarlett has been producing a lot of them for quite a while already.
Yeah, she is way up on workers, 85 workers right now against 70. She's got a good unit count. 1-1 is going to finish right now, and immediately Spirit pulls back and goes, whoa, I do not want to fight on creep.
No, fighting on creep here would be an absolute disaster. Now pushing into Siege Tanks, likewise also not a great idea. Now, of course, the surprise has been spoiled. We did see 2 Infestors, by the way, on the production tab. Keep in mind that these days they will have enough energy for a fungal growth. So right when they pop out, that is something very handy here for Scarlett. But how much longevity is there in a unit composition like this?
It's kind of odd, because obviously if the Marines run forward in a blob, she lands the big fungal, it's massive, she could take him down. But if he's very careful and methodical and maxes out with a good tank count, it is tough for her to find a good fight. 5th base gets killed in the south, or the 6th base I should say. 5th one up here on the rich gas base is deflecting the double drop. Scarlett's able to control her side, but she's going to have to get rid of this. She's going for it! Big fungal landing on the Marine Hellbat.
This is not the entire Terran army though. Drop inside of the main base of the Zerg player as well. Scarlett is going to have to run on over and defend against that. That is about 16 Marines here going to town. At the very least, they'll see the timing of that Hive.
She crushed the army on the front. Yeah, she went for the counterattack. She was chasing the drop back. She now turns it into a run-by, but there is so many units at home. And I'd definitely love to see Scarlett bring that army back to her side of the map. Her creep in the north is ridiculous, by the way. Yep. In the midst of all this happening, remember we said you can't let... Oh!
That's a major error right there from Spirit.
Oh, my lord. Great catch. Good positioning by Scarlett to catch that. we were saying you can't let Scarlett just get away with the macro, but, you know, he embraced this macro game. Spirit's going up to 5 command centers. He's going for 2-2. He's massing units, but he just lost a lot of his army momentum. And if Scarlett can use this to just keep re-spreading that creep, getting back out there, and she's already trying to go backwards to Banelings now, sideways, I should say, with the Baneling Nest and the Hive on the way. I actually feel like a Lurker transition from here has potential if you go Lurkers plus Vipers for the tanks, but it's kind of awkward because if you can't kind of trade, it's not as mobile, whereas Banelings have supreme mobility. So Banelings are the best for breaking planetaries, busting through, and just overwhelming a Terran player.
Scarlett actually on the offensive here. You pointed out earlier already that pushing it to siege tanks is incredibly difficult. Scarlett, of course, very dangerous with the fungal growth in particular. Is she actually going to push in here? There's not that many tanks.
Big army supply advantage right now for Scarlett. She's got the fungals waiting. One of those in the south would be nice. It does land. She's trading right now. There's only like 2 tanks firing. Actually, one of them only just sieged up. Good time to pull back for Scarlett. If she committed a bit more, that would have turned into an absolute bloodbath. I wouldn't say it was a great trade for her, but it definitely wasn't too bad. And if she can keep him off a 5th base, she has a massive income right now.
2-2 is finishing up right after the fight. So that set of upgrades just finished. Adrenal Glands, Ultralisk Cavern, and Vipers coming up together with 17 drones. So Scarlett more than happy to play the macro game here. Now, one thing that we see go wrong for StarCraft players in general is second-guessing themselves, right? When you start thinking a lot whilst you're playing the game, usually that's where things go south. And this is not a unit composition that Spirit can have a ton of practice against, right? So there's a very good chance that Spirit right now is playing this a little bit more cautiously than he ideally should be, because when's the last time you've really played against Mass Hydra?
Yeah, I would say caution's probably better against this than being overeager, but you're absolutely right that it puts you in a weird state where you're like, exactly where do I push? When do I push? Oh, here we go. She can't push through there, though. The tanks are in range. She's got to get out of there.
Oh, well, they deal a lot of damage, though. Ultimately,
Fungal?
He does live. Yeah, she's trying to bait out a few of those Marines through that choke point now. Drops, though, in the meantime on the top left as well as the bottom right.
She's really refined this style from the last time I saw her play this. Last time, a big problem was she kept going up to like 60 Hydras. This time, she's stopping at about 25, max 30, because they get stuck behind each other the more you build. They don't really add anything to a battle, and she's gone into the Infestors, the Vipers, the Ling Bane. She's got melee Carapace, not to mention Chitinous Plating coming in. All these upgrades are fantastic, and the Spores spread around doing pretty well. Yeah, the drops are annoying, but they're not getting massive damage. And look at that, even abducting Medivacs. I think she's really keeping him contained in his side of the map. The problem is, at the end of the day, her style is hard countered by 2 things, ghosts and tanks. And that is exactly what he's building.
Yep.
If he gets enough tank ghost, I don't know if she can maybe attack the natural where he's out of position. That's her best bet because she can't fight him front on.
Nice abductions over here, getting a few free units, although the Terran units are going to try and chase this. I really love the combination of Zerg casters here. That being said, though, Spirit is building ghosts at the perfect moment. Ultralisks are just hitting the battlefield right now in big numbers, and you really do need either Liberators or Ghosts, or preferably both. Either way, Spirit is going to have an answer against those Ultras, because if you would be stuck on just Marine tank at this point in the game, I think Scarlett could just A-move.
She still has an Overlord in his backdoor as well, so a Nidus Swarm up there would be a fantastic option for opening a new front. If she can attack his natural from the left, then attack down here in the bottom right at the gold base, do some more abducts, and then pop a Nidus in the back. Something, you know, during all of that, I'd love to see it. I really feel like that's where some power lies for Scarlett. She's forgotten about these Hydras. They are just kind of chasing on their own.
Hydras here also blocking the pathing right here for those Ultralisks. There are quite a few units set up, though. Snipes going down. Fungals attempted from the low ground, but good positioning here by Spirit.
Yeah, she's only really engaging buildings right now. She's in big trouble. Scarlett needs to get out of here. She needs to get out of here fast. It's a bit of an overcommitment. She is catching a few Medivacs and Marines, but she's mostly killed depots and turrets with this push. It opens up a bit of the wall off for a follow-up attack. But right there, not necessarily the most amazing trading. That being said,
creep spread though, your first second pick, like it's insane.
She's so
covering
good.
Like 75% of the map.
Every time he kills one, her queens are back there. Like she's just so quick on that, isn't she? I feel like though she can't let him go too long. This gold base has to be the last expansion that he gets for free, and if she can keep trading, her bank's so much bigger. She's got to keep him small. She cannot let him get too big here.
Greater Spire on the back of this too. Now, Spirit is going into his late game army as we do have once again another engagement. Big fungal growth this time around. No Ultras to really follow this up. We do see that finish off at least on the siege tank. Couple of the Medivacs in trouble. But for Spirit, he's trying to hold on, right? He's going into Ghost Liberator. Already though, Scarlett is preparing here a whole load of Corruptors. Is she going to instantly turn them into Brute Lords, or is she going to save them for a bit?
No, she's going to go straight for it. This is 100%. She knows she's still got momentum, but not for much longer. She feels she's got to keep doing something. Oh, she's going for a big Ultra Link Bane trade. The Baneling's trying to get towards those ghosts on the right side. Snipes are landing. The Ultras are getting popped. That is a brilliant hold from Spirit. He was dead even on her. 10k resources lost for each side before, but he is defending calm and with poise. You can see there is very interesting way he uses his keyboard and mouse, Spirit, but he's gone from equal resources to a 5,000 resource advantage. That's massive. Don't get me wrong, she's got more bank, but that's because Spirit's putting his money into Mass Command Center. He's going to get the Iron Bank, you know, 8+ orbital command centers for unlimited mules. He's got so much infrastructure. The longer this goes, the better it is for Spirit.
Absolutely. Spirit is going to be aiming to try and essentially half mine the map, right? If he can mine his side of the map entirely, that's amazing. That's exactly why he's also trying to get rid of this base, because that will be one of the bases that, well, we consider to be the Terrans. So getting that one sniped nice and early before Scarlett can really mine it is very nice. That being said, 10 Brute Lords are just about to show up. This harassment, though, is brilliantly done by Spirit.
This is
as soon as you go into Brute Lords, your army is so immobile.
Yeah, this is a huge problem. Losing a hatchery on her gold, losing his purple gas and her purple gas base. 3 bases in a matter of a minute. This Brute Lord attack needs to do big damage. The Infestors, one of the Infestors goes down. Those Infestors are the only thing that are going to defend these Brute Lords from the Ghost Snipes. Already one Brute Lord falls to the Snipes. Luckily for her, there's not a lot of Ghost energy, but a second Brute Lord goes down. Fungal whiffs. It lands on a medevac, and that is it. Her Brute Lords are just not supported enough. It's hard for her to push in. He's even Liberator harassing. Spirit staying calm and focused under pressure.
I am very impressed by Spirit in this game. There have been about a dozen moments where things could have gone horribly wrong. I can imagine that all of these tech transitions from Scarlett is not something that Spirit has practiced against a ton, but he's still handling this incredibly well. Now the Brute Lord surprise, of course, has been spoiled, and, well, we have Thors coming up. We've got Vikings coming up. We already have Ghosts, of course, on the battlefield. They're gonna get their personal cloaking upgrade done. We have the advanced ballistics upgrade too. That's the Liberator ranged. Everything's looking really nice right here for Spirit, but it's not over yet.
First person view for Spirit right now. That's why you are seeing those low graphics. This is his exact monitor view on his screen right now. You can see landing a base on the right. He's trying to fend off those Brood Lords and push back this creep, which of course gives Scarlett a lovely launch pad for her to poke and prod at his bases. He's bringing more units up from his natural scanning to see what's going on. We're back to the overall view now. And oh, he snipes another Brood Lord. Brilliant play.
I think Spirit is playing around those fungals really well, though. He's been zoning against those infestors. Lovely. Now, there is a nice counterattack here for Scarlett. She's going up to the high ground. Big fungal growth, but no follow-up on the Ghost.
2 Broodlords just got sniped. She's down to 4. Her Broodlord count has lost its count. She does kill a 3rd command center, which is fantastic, but he's got the bottom right, and there's a planetary up there, I believe, and not to mention the top left. So, yeah, he's dropping mass mill. It's not even a planetary yet. A few Zergans could deny that. She's pushing into the natural. Her Ling's breaching the wall up. This could be a good moment for Scarlett. He's spread very thin right now, but a lot of Bio Ghost coming north. If she can land the fungals on it, jump on top with Banelings, she'll be able to clear it. But he's bringing the tanks. He's only got 2 tanks. Actually, Lingbane Hydra can do this right now. She needs more of a Lingbane Hydra army. There we go.
One fungal here to end it all, but not quite getting it. It's very difficult for Spirit to defend if the Zerg is already on that high ground, right? You preferably shut it down before Zerg ever gets there in the first place.
Oh, those bees doing big damage. Parasitic Bomb damaging all the Vikings and slaying one of them. 15 more Hydras in production for Scarlett. She is obsessed. I'm telling you, she loves this unit. They are very generically well-rounded, the Hydra. So they are always nice to have as a supporting unit. They can shoot up, they can shoot down, they can shoot all around. Speaking of all around, well, those SCVs are going to get boomed, and Spirit's worker count is dangerously low.
Absolutely. That does also at the same time mean that his army supply count is massive. He's rebuilding a few of those SCVs here, but I'm wondering what this army of Spirit is capable of doing right now. Big fungal, though. That's going to keep those Brute Lords alive for at least a little while longer.
Even just the 5 Brood Lords, it doesn't seem like a lot, but it's annoying. Oh, he's got Ghosts on him.
Shuts down those siege tanks so nicely here, right? So more Infestors coming up. Scarlett actually manages to hold on here. And still, now she does have that base all the way in the top left-hand corner of the map that we consider to be the Terrans.
Oh, nice. Fungal catches a few Ghosts. The Banelings have to be wary of the tank fire, and she disengages just right. I'd like to see big Ling run bys for Scarlett.
Yeah.
That's what she's lacking right now. His natural is wide open. He's so focused on trying to secure this bottom right base. And she's correct to think, hey, if I deny that base, I can probably win this game, because she's got the top left mining. She's got the purple gas base. She's on top of his production with just a small Ling run by. She can ambush him on the way back.
Oh no,
Nice.
He's caught off guard here entirely. A couple of the siege tanks do go down for free. Banelings connect with the leftover SCVs. He's actually been rebuilding quite a few of them here, but one of the Corruptors thinking about doing some caustic spraying here too. But you're absolutely right. This section of the map is wide open, and now the golden base is going to end up going down as well. And when it rains, it pours here. Spirit is just in all sorts of trouble.
He destroyed her first couple of big attacks to break him. I thought Spirit was like way more confident in this game, but Scarlett now is using her positioning so well. She moves in, clears a few big units, says, okay, I can't take this fight, let's get out of here. But if he chases her, she will fungal him and ruin his day. The bottom right side base is very vulnerable once again. The units lost tab, you can see, is back to dead even, which is a massive accomplishment for a Zerg in this matchup. Normally at a 25 to 50% deficit would be standard.
Yeah, income advantage here going heavily in favor of the Zerg over the last 10 minutes or so. This area of the map has not been well protected for a long while. Ever since that sensor tower first fell, it's been a bit of a disaster in this section of the map. And every time Scarlett goes to the bottom right, she follows it up with a push right over here in the natural expansion. Fungals still threatening from the back, so good snipes going down overall. But is there enough Terran army left over?
Good EMPs on those infestors. Only one fungal lands, and not on that many units, but Scarlett has the numbers, and she will not be perturbed. A few good EMPs are not going to stop her committing when she knows she's got the numbers advantage. The Hydra's clean house. A few ghosts trying to hold on, but she's still got enough Hydras. Nope, she doesn't. Those ones go down.
There's a lot more coming, Pig. You're definitely not wrong. 31 of them on the production tab. We have +2 air weapons also researching for the Zerg, but I don't think she's gonna need it. At this point, Spirit is flat broke. He's got a bit of income, but that's about it. GG is cold, and it's indeed Scarlett who obtains the victory here in the first game of the tournament. You know what? There's been a bit of discussion, right, in the Zerg community. Do you go Ling Bane? Do you go Roach Ravager? Should you maybe just go straight Hydra, Pig?
Just skip, man. Queens defend everything anyway, right? I've seen the Protoss and the Terran forums. You know, they've said Queens just stop anything I do. Scarlett read that. I have heard she goes on the Battle.net forums to get her strategy.
That's like, where everybody goes.
What are Gold League Terran players complaining about today? And she writes that down and she perfects it. I think this is a great way to counter a guy like Spirit, though, who plays a very European style, macro-centric, wants to get to the mid and late game. And I think she's saying, look, if you're going to just kind of play passive with a 3 command center build, I don't need to invest in a Baneling Nest or anything like that. Let's just rush upwards. And you could see he's not able to pick at her with the multi-prong. He had to like dive into mineral lines, and it's like often they are dying before they get out. Like there's no way to really micro in and out with biomine like you'll see Clem do against Ling Bane with like marine widowmine.
No, you're absolutely right. I think one thing Scarlett did really well there is push on the right side of the map and then follow it up with an attack towards the Terran's natural, right? Because initially Spirit did a fantastic job holding on, but then at some point, I guess the sensor tower disappeared, a few siege tanks ended up falling, and he just lost control of that part of the map. And ultimately, that made the game pretty much impossible for him to play, because the first 20 minutes or so of that game, I don't really know exactly how long that game took. I think in my mind it was like 25 minutes. But anyways, the first 80% or so of the game looked really good there for the Terran player, and then suddenly Zerg started getting damage done. Yeah. And ultimately, when she grabbed control of the end game, I mean, she just never let go.
Hats off to her Broodlord usage. Yeah. She was doing a lot of drops in her mineral lines. She was losing bases, but she was cleaning them up. And she kind of went
really scary, though.
Oh, yeah, losing 3 actually. There was a few times where she lost multiple mining bases within the space of a few seconds. But I think the maneuverability is better for the Broodlord, right? They do less damage. The Broodlings don't attack as fast. They don't move as fast. The Broodlords themselves move faster. And she did move them around a lot. It was like poke at the gold base, pull back, move up north, move back south. And so that combined with her creep spread, I think there was a position where with all the information we had, there's not that complicated for Spirit to look at that game and figure out what he can do to win. But when you've got creep covering 90% of the map, knocking on your doorstep, you only have a limited number of scans, you can't see exactly where she's set up, you know? It only takes a few small openings in those defenses and she starts to run away with it. I think we're going to see a very different game too.
I would not be surprised at all. That match is going to be taking place on the map Solaris, and spawning right here in the bottom left-hand corner, representing the Shopify Rebellion, it's Scarlett.
And in the top right, representing Na'Vi, it is Spirit. Some really strong starts in that game for Spirit.
Yeah.
He just needed to clean things up a little bit more as it progressed. And that's always hard to do because you think, oh, you got ghosts, but if you haven't had them for that long, it's not like they have unlimited energy just yet. And
you need to control the map, right? Like if you are playing catch-up to the Zerg's attacks, then suddenly the game becomes very difficult. What we see very frequently from a lot of the top-tier Terrans is that every single angle that you try to fight from just seems impossible as the Zerg, as we once again, by the way, have him going for a command center first. Apparently not too concerned about early game pressure, but it's interesting to me that, yeah, Spirit, he just lost grip of the map. Like, he was doing a good job defending one area, but then the natural was just wide open. So I think in his mind, he probably needed to make a few small adjustments, and then he would have been fine.
Yeah, it's often just replacing a tank hero there makes a big difference.
Sensor tower would have been massive in that area.
Yeah, she got one earlier down with the Hydras, and I don't think he got a chance to rebuild it. So great activity level from Scarlett. She took 1 or 2 bad fights towards his natural, but it did break up a lot of the infrastructure and allowed her to start taking advantage. And it turns out that just when he went to that bottom right side of the map, he stretched himself a little too thin. Rather than going for the bottom right expansion, perhaps he should have just gone for the one next to the natural, kept his army a little bit more in the center of the map.
You're absolutely right, yeah.
Who knows, maybe
it's a tough map.
It's awkward because if you don't have the watchtower we talked about, she had it. You know, she's just got more vision, she's got creep everywhere. If he's got the watchtower off her, he has a much easier time defending.
Absolutely. Well, either way, game number 2. Bit of a different map overall. Do you think Scarlett is going to make any significant adjustments here? Do you think she's looking at this and she's like, oh, I'm going to play Mass Hydra once again?
The Ultras was a waste of money. Just go straight to Brood Lords. Do the exact same strategy, but just go Broods. Like, Ultras are a good choice if it's a more activity late-in game where Spirit's like attacking her and you're back and forth.
It's one of those units where, like, if Terran does not have a late-game counter to the Ultras yet, you just straight up win, right?
They're so good,
Yeah, they're so good against an unprepared Terran, but...
Marines, low Marauder counts, only a few Siege tanks, only 1 or 2 Liberators. Hey, Ultras are absolutely amazing, but Ultras, Hydras, Infestors, great for ambushing a Terran on the map, not as good for breaking an entrenched position.
Absolutely. Well, only time will tell here. So far, not really any adjustments here for either player. Scarlett keeping one of the drones in gas. Spirit, I'm expecting a 3rd command center nice and early once again. Not really scouting all too much here with that Reaper. There we go, 3rd CC goes down. We'll probably see some Hellions. Lately, it's become more popular for Terrans to do this opener with, for example, a Liberator rather than a Banshee every time. The main downside of that particular build is that you leave yourself very vulnerable to roach pushes. That's not something that we really all too frequently see from Scarlett, but it's certainly something that's possible, right? Especially when you're 1-0 ahead in a series.
Great micro there for Spirit. Doesn't even pull the mule that time. And does deflect the 4 Zerglings for no losses. 3rd command center on the high ground. I do like what you said about the Liberator as well. It's a bit more of a fluid harassment unit. Most importantly, it's a much cheaper investment. 125 gas as opposed to 2 Banshees and Cloak, which adds up. That's 300 plus gas, so definitely a lot more time on the starport as well. Whereas otherwise, if you build a Liberator, the starport can start building reactors for barracks. But this is, of course, the safety play for Spirit. Exact same opening as last game so far.
Yep, for both players. The only difference, I guess, so far is that the Zerglings didn't get nearly as much done. It's the little things that do add up over the course of a game like StarCraft II, though. So, yeah, if Spirit can just cross his T's, dot his I's, and play ever so slightly cleaner, I think in his mind, that is all it really would take to win a series.
It really speaks to the mindset of both players, as you hinted at there, where they both think, oh, I can just do the same thing again. I don't need to pull out my special tactics. You come to a tournament like this, you've got 5 other matches in this group stage, you know, 6 people in a group. 5 matches is a lot. You don't want to use up all your best builds straight away. You don't want to use your sneaky builds on the player who you think you can play completely standard against and beat them. So definitely, they're saying, oh, you know what? I'm better than you in the macro game. I can play straight up and standard. Whereas if you see either of these players play someone maybe they're a big underdog against, you will see much more tricky all-ins and timings coming out of them.
One thing I would like to see Spirit focus on a little bit more is contain that creep. So obviously with this opener from Terran, you just simply don't have a lot of units, right? And fighting the queens is very tough. But these Hellions sitting all the way back here means that, yeah, sure, you're not going to take damage from Zerglings, but it also means that the Zerg gets to spread that creep for essentially free. And already Scarlett is starting to control the bottom left-hand corner of Solaris. And if you give her a couple more minutes, she's going to cross the halfway point easy.
It's exponential as well.
Yes.
As you get further, you kind of, oh, one lane is in the top, now it's 2 lanes, now it's 3 lanes in the top. Good luck clearing that. You know, you're not going to have a Raven. How many scans do you have? It's going to be really tough. And the Hellions are finally moving out onto the map. 1-1 range is on the way again for Scarlett. I expect those upgrades are a bit faster than last time, but the Hydra Den is a little delayed. That lair did just finish.
Yeah, interesting that the timing on the Evos here is slightly different. It is missile once more though, and at this point it's only the queens that benefit from it. So we are fully expecting, there we go, that it is indeed going to be a Hydralisk Den. Nice bit of harassment here by Spirit, trying to keep this controlled, but yeah, killing drones at this point is of course nice, but this is not going to be game-ending amounts of damage. Well, 7 workers is really good though.
It is really good. I mean, it's just his worker count impresses me so much. It's just past 6 minutes. He's got 3 bases saturated. Spirit's economy is ridiculous. He's got a lot of workers building structures right now, and yet he's still got such a good worker count. Scarlett wants to be up 15 or 20 workers here. She doesn't want to be sitting on the same worker count, so she's going to have to get a move on with saturating that 4th base of her own.
Absolutely. 5th hatchery coming up already as well. Last game we saw Spirit do a timing attack as soon as those, well, 3 upgrades on the right side of the production tab all finished up right around the same time. That was a relatively small group of Marines and siege tanks. I'm expecting that army to once more move across the map because it's one of those pushes that keeps the Zerg player honest. Otherwise, Zergs would just go to triple-digit drones right away if they can get away with it. But it wasn't really all too successful, right? And you got to be so careful because yes, Spirit sieged up his tanks in time in game number 1 of this series, but that was on a razor's edge. If you lose that group of units, you just get overwhelmed by the Hydra flood.
Yeah, Spirit's playing so defensively. Finally, now he is going to move out. 2 tanks, Marines, Medivacs, 1-1, combat shields and stim.
The entire right side of the screen, man.
Yeah,
everything's finishing.
That's the beauty of a good Terran build. If you guys really want to play Terran, enjoy lining things up. If you get satisfaction out of that, Terran's the race for you.
Absolutely. But look at that creep spread once again, though. So Scarlett can fight it what seems to be miles away from her actual mining bases, right? He's sieging up,
he's
like
attacking
right outside of his 3rd.
Yeah, exactly. His attack starts at his own base. It's like, well, okay, I don't know if that's really an attack. That's just a forward defense.
All right, now this is a bit of a scary push. There's a lot of Hellbats in the mix too, but obviously Hydras are not bad against that. Queens in the front as well to, well, transfuse a little bit. Big circling run by in the natural expansion in the meantime. That's really going to slow down everything.
Well, I love being at Katowice. The production's on point. Our observers over there already catching a run by. She doesn't care about losing that base. That's a 5th base. She's still got 4 fully saturated. And it's more about getting set up for the next fight that she's got to be a bit worried about. She's almost supply blocked right now. She had a great Ling run by, killed a lot of Marines, gets an SCV or 2 here as well. But the attack is marching forward. Spirit, though, his army here hasn't reinforced for a while. If she can flank this, she could take it out. But she's all on one side. Moving down a ramp is not a great idea.
Love this little Hellbat push as well. Well, she is going to commit to it, especially into the green zone. That's very dangerous. That's a speed-up zone right there for those Terran Marines. Siege Tank's having a grand old time shelling away at all of these Zerg units. And that little Hellbat squad really distracted her.
Luckily, that Queen has lured them away. That Queen has lured those Hellbats away from killing an entire mineral line. But Scarlett here, yeah, she needs to like surround this army or something, but she doesn't seem to quite have the numbers. Spirit has committed very hard on 5 barracks Marine tank production, and the Hydra's unable to get a good angle. Such a bad angle for the Hydras, and no detection. The Banshee's putting down crazy damage from the skies. Scarlett's Hydra dip build looked great in game 1, but in game 2, he's prepared for it. He knows it's coming. Yeah. And despite doing a very greedy build of his own, once he got that 5 barracks in the factory up, he just did not stop building army.
Yeah, playing the map really nicely as well, right? Aiming for that exact angle. Sure, she could give up that base in the center of the map, but I wonder if maybe setting up a big surround there and trying to slow down the Terran as much as possible would have been the better choice. That Zergling run by earlier was nicely done by Scarlett, but losing 2 bases worth is, of course, certainly not worth it. I think she wanted to buy time until 2-2 is finished up, and that is, well, done at this point. So if there ever was an opportunity to fight, it is indeed right now. Terran just about to finish up 2-2 of their own, though.
I do like the upgrade advantage for the couple of seconds it lasted, but those tank volleys are brilliant. The Marines and Medivacs doing fantastic damage. And you can't be down in supply this badly, down in workers. There is a very nice advantage for Spirit, and of course, Scarlett seconds away from tapping out. She realizes she just doesn't have the material to cover both sides of the map at once. He gets the hatchery and runs away before she can do anything.
And that's the downside of Hydras, right? I mean, Hydras have many downsides, but this is one of them. We don't usually see them massed as just a singular unit. It can work out quite nicely for you, but you have to be on point. And yeah, as soon as the floodgates open, Spirit has been all over it. Now, we do have a few infestors joining the Hydras and the Zerglings, and it does look like there's just nothing to back up anymore. Hello, Spirit. Are we just going to give a couple units away?
Yeah, that was it was obviously focused on the south, where she threw away a bunch of Hydraling chasing into him. But because he was so focused on taking the good fight on the south, he took a bad fight on the top left. Gives her a little bit of hope in this matchup, but I say a little bit of hope. Yeah. I'm not exaggerating. It is a very small amount of hope.
The only thing not going here for Spirit at the moment are the 3-3 upgrades, right? Like, that would really seal the deal. Other than that, oh, well, there we go. He's been ahead in every department now for a little while. Obviously, though, finishing the 3-3 would be amazing, because at that point, you can just go in for what I would consider to be the killing move.
Yeah.
Spirit may just sit back here for a bit longer, right? And if Scarlett is given enough time, look at her. She's already back up to 81 drones here. She's going to try and crawl back up. But there's so much money here that the Zerg needs to spend into tech in order to fight a fully upgraded Terran army. So Baling Nest coming up, Hive coming up. We're going Burrow? I guess we're going to try and get lucky?
Well, Burrow Infestors is the best comeback play you've got. However, I don't think she has the money for Baneling tech. I think she needs to just build more Hydras and... well, I mean, it's tough, really, because Hydraling, even with good fungals, is not the greatest army, but it's all she can really afford right now. And it's really, in this scenario, you're way behind. Put all your eggs in one basket. Look for one big fungal ambush, and then try to get a late-game army out behind that. But unfortunately, losing an Infestor there. She catches a few Marines in the north. Spirit is taking his foot off the pedal a little bit. Like, he's maxed out. He could probably go kill her right here, and he's going to start to. And the south side, his army is moving forward. There we go.
Not going into the +3 infantry armor. If we have to be very critical, I guess that's one thing that's not going perfectly well right here for Spirit, but everything else has been fantastic. I mean, we have Queens again, or sorry, we have Ghosts against this particular Zerg army. In the previous game, at this phase in the match, we would have Ultras already on the battlefield, right? I mean...
Yeah, I think they've remaxed by this point in the previous game. Obviously, the economy a little bit slower for Scarlett after taking all that early damage. She got a full medevac in the north of the map, and I think wisely giving up control of this base. Takes off a Marauder or two. Double drop into the main. Spirit here realizes he's got money to spare. He's got the numbers. Time to put on the aggression a little bit harder and really force Scarlett to defend.
Yeah, Hydras are not bad, though, in these scenarios. Fungal on these would actually be kind of nice. That's another 10 or so supply, maybe 20 or so supply even, going down here in total. I mean, not that long ago, we saw like a 60 supply advantage for the Terran. At the very least, the supply count has evened up.
Historically, Spirit was known for having the best defensive macro and the best harassment in the game, or some of. His ability to finish the game with a timing attack a few years ago, we were talking about this, maybe 2 or 3 years ago at Katowice, was where he fell short. I don't think he has that as that much of a problem, though, anymore. Even though he's not finishing her off, it doesn't matter, because look at his production tab, because he's still adding everything else and setting up for the late game very well. Whereas it used to be he'd fail to finish his opponent off, but he'd also throw his army away in the position. He doesn't make those mistakes anymore. He's getting ahead in every regard.
How many Vipers do we have? I think we have at least one, right? There's like 7 siege tanks. And siege tanks even, yeah. I mean, one fungal and one in Blinding Cloud is not going to cover that. Oh, losing. Oh, no, that's really bad. Okay, yeah, there goes the snipe. That's the only Viper that our Zerg player had. And, well, Scarlett is going to commit. She's going to make one final move here.
Nice fungal.
It's just not enough stuff. Look at the siege tanks.
No, he just... It's what does a Terran say in this scenario, Loco?
GG. Oh, wait, no, the Zerg says GG.
Thank you very much.
Ah, there you go.
I'll stop.
Get him off the stream.
You got to start off Katowice in special fashion, but that was good. We saw Scarlett open up with a bit of a meme build in game 1. She pulled it out, the Mass Hydra. He shows, no, I can punish that. You can't pull this one out. There's a reason nobody else does this build.
Yeah. I think it... So she gave up on that middle base, right, on the 5th. That's the critical moment, right? She decided to give up on that particular phase in the match, and ultimately that made this push right here on the high ground a lot more doable.
Yeah, I think if the Terran opens Widow Mines, it's not a bad style at all. But I think if they open Siege Tanks and they kind of know and expect it, they set up for that big push and they just don't let you get a position. That's what's important. If they stumble into creep and you kind of get on top of them with the Hydras from two sides, you can crush it. And we saw that in game 1. But in game 2, he was so well prepared for it. I don't think the style's a complete meme, right? You can bring it out, but it has to have a bit of surprise. They can't be expecting you to do exactly that build order, or they can take advantage of its weaknesses. And I think that's what Spirit showed there.
Yeah, Spirit showcasing some excellent gameplay, though. Not really making any critical errors in this game whatsoever. Essentially playing mostly the same game, right? Essentially playing the exact same match that he did in game number 1, but just a little bit better, just a little tighter around the edges, and then ultimately he just had a much better fight. So, Scarlett, what exactly do we do at this point? Do we play Ling Bane? Do we do a Roach push?
Mass Zergling, no splash damage, Mass Zergling. That's what I'm cheering for, mate. I like that she's playing a bit creatively.
Yeah.
We've seen the Hydras from her before. She might try it again with like a few small adjustments. We might see her play more of a classic Ling Bane. I think that's what we'd probably expect, right? Is classic Ling Bane. But
maybe a Roach all-in would be cool, but I guess we've seen Banshees twice in a row.
He did just sit at home with the Hellions into the Banshees.
Yes.
So you could...
Very passive.
Super passive. You could actually do it, if you think about this. You hide it and you wait for the Banshees to hit your side of the map. It's like a very late Ravager Ling all-in, where you're hiding in like his 4th base. And that's when you just flood in when you see the Banshees on your side of the map and you just kind of bust in and destroy.
Yeah.
I think that's if he plays the exact same way, that would almost be a completely free win. But of course, that's us working with perfect information. Who knows what they're going to do? The players have gone for a quick bathroom break, so we are going to be back in just a minute.
네, 안녕하세요. 네, 스태츠 김대엽. 안녕하세요. 팀리퀴드 소속 스타트 프로게이머 큐어 김도욱입니다. 준비됐어? 펼쳐놓는다고?
잠시만. 이거 안 되나 이러면?
그러기에는 하나도 못 맞추겠는데 지금?
아니 끝부분도 모르겠는데.
대충 좀 이런 느낌일 것 같군. 그래도 IEM이 큰 대회고 저한테 되게 좋은 기억이 있던 대회잖아요. 그래서 정말 열심히 준비를 했고, 네, 이제 좀 경기 때 진짜 연습했던 그 결과에 좀 한 50%라도 좀 나왔으면 좋겠네요. 네. 1분 남았습니다. 네? 큰일이네. 내가 김도욱은 이긴다.
뭐 같은데. 왜 이렇게 잘하시지?
내가 도욱이는 내가 이긴다. 진짜. 도욱이요.
저도 대엽이 형이.
사실 제 입장에서는 상대할 만한 선수가 없죠. 예, 다들 엄청 잘하고 레더에서 게임 해봤을 때 진짜 많이 지고 왔거든요. 그래서 예, 진짜 좀 지더라도 좀 최선을 다해서 제 플레이하고 지는 게 제 목표예요.
저도 저희 조가 쉬운 선수가 진짜 한 명도 없는 것 같아가지고. 아유 너무 어렵다. 나 퍼즐 못하겠다 근데. 형 왜 이렇게 잘해요?
아니야 근데 뭐야?
아니 나 뭔지 모르겠어.
아니 뭐 하나도 이렇게
아니 내가
못했네?
뭔가 똑같은 그림 찾으려고 하는데 저거 네,
잘
게임을 게임으로 이기면
게임을 혼낸다고? 오케이 맞을 준비하고 있을게.
Always nice to hear of stats and of course of Cure as well. I think one thing we figured out over the years is that pro gamers have a very specialized knowledge.
I think we saw from the Jenga games at Atlanta that their skill set is not wide in its variance. I think it was Cyril who was like first piece knocking the thing over. I was like, oh my.
Well, to be fair, there were like 20 pieces to that puzzle. Well, here we go. We're gonna load up into the final game of our first best-of-3 series of the tournament. The score has been evened up in game number 2 by Mr. Spirit. But here we go, game 3, our final match here in this best-of-3. We find ourselves on the map site Delta, and in the bottom right-hand corner, it's Scarlett.
And in the top left, the king of Polish macro representing Na'Vi, it is Spirit. Very start of the tournament. Early in the day, we've already got people starting to spill on in there. Lots of people very excited. Saw, you know, people posting threads about getting down here. People being upset about strikes and things and getting delayed to get down to the event and missing the first few matches. But looks like everyone's starting to arrive and having a good time over here in Poland as we go into Site Delta. And we're going to see Command Center first again. Yeah. Does he play the exact same build 3 games in a row?
Yeah, I think so. And I think this is something that Spirit generally likes to do. He just has a build order that he feels really confident about, and he's been practicing it over and over and over again. And sure, there may be a couple of vulnerabilities, right? But what are the odds of a Zerg player opening pool first? It just doesn't happen that often in the current meta. Now, maybe a year or so ago, right? We cycle through this sort of thing. A year or so ago, we used to see it quite a bit more frequently, but lately Zergs have been all about hatchery, into gas, into pool, the build order that we've seen for...
Well, and it kind of needs to be a very early pool to punish a Command Center first, because it finishes so fast. You need to do like a 12 pool, like a 16 pool.
A 12 pool against a Reaper opener?
Yeah, well, that's it. You got to do like one base Ling Bane or one base like Roach Ravager or something like that. Those builds do count at this. Like Spirit does almost certainly die, I would say, to a one-base Ravager. However, you can build Cyclones really early now, so I'm actually not so sure. They're not as good as the old Cyclone.
Well, the thing is, he doesn't scout at all. Like, he has no idea about what's happening, because that Reaper is going to sit at home, too. So, one-base Ravager could, I guess, work out, but it'd be so risky. Absolutely.
So risky. Now, Scarlett, I remember she was experimenting with this style leading into Atlanta. I remember when they were, the Mass Hydra, and it was this map, I think I remember her playing Beyond over and over, just doing Mass Hydra, and it kept working, so it gave her faith in it. I wonder, I mean, Beyond's one of the best TVZ players out there.
Yeah, Beyond's TVZ is also very different from Spirit's, right?
He will attack into the Hydras.
Yeah, exactly. He will probably boost into the main base at least 5 times in a match, so yeah.
I mean, if you know they're going to play tanks, is there an argument for just going Mutalisks here and just playing Mutaling Bane?
I guess it's a possibility. That's also a unit composition we just haven't seen much as of late. I wonder if it would be possible to, rather than transition into Infestors, is transition into Lurkers? Because that would be really strong against these timing pushes.
Lurkers are so good at defending pushes, right? And you could go like 4 Vipers or something to start just abducting all of his tanks.
But it's so much slower, right? And then you can't really punish the expansions as easily, because...
What are the maps where Raynor and Serral keep playing Mutas? It's Golden Aura and...
Raduset?
Well, Raduset gets vetoed, but before that got vetoed, yes.
Right.
Equilibrium and Golden Aura are the 2 maps. But I feel like this map, if you know they're not playing Widow Mines, you could do it here as well. There's like enough space. And Scarlett
has not been scouting much, right? Like we only really see scouts coming in as soon as like the Banshees go across the map.
Yeah, the Banshees scout by killing drones. That's it.
That's late. Now, do we have a Banshee opener here at all?
No. He's going 2nd and 3rd barracks. So that's interesting. So that is very interesting. He's going to be having a lot more Marines out here. But I don't really see this leading into like a committed attack. I mean, he's got the 3rd command center still on the way. I'm curious to see if it's just, no, when I do attack, I'm just going to have a lot more Marines, but I'm still going to have tanks building behind it. Well, we'll have to kind of observe how it progresses. He could start multi-dropping very early. He's going to have an abundance of Marines.
An abundance of Marines. That's beautiful. It's like the title of biography at some point, man.
Yeah, that's it, man. It's like, you know, you have a good seasonal crop, a lot of Marines popping up out of the ground. They fertilized well this season, man. There was a lot of rainfall, you know, lots of vitamins in the soil. It's great.
There's the double Evos once again here for Scarlett.
Very early. This is
we don't have a lair yet, right? Yeah, this is Ling Bane for sure.
I mean, it could be Roaches, but there's no reason to go upgrades this fast if you're playing Roaches, so...
You go lair first every time.
Yeah. I like it. Just old school Ling Bane up against Bio.
Yeah, this kind of feels like an old school match, right? Like, these players are so far down to strategic masterminds that at some point you just end up playing good old Ling Bane against Marine again.
Mass Marine so far as well, right? 3 racks Marine, so it's like, okay, let's do this. She's going to have a good upgrade lead. His eBays are just starting, but he's going to have like a nice little aggressive window. I wonder if Scarlett's going to be very backstab focused. I think this Overlord is really helping her out right now because she sees those engineering bays aren't crazy fast. And I have a feeling she's going to try and run into his natural with a big Ling Bane bust while he's pressuring her sometime around the 8.5 to 9 minute mark. It's one of those things where I can't even explain why I feel this. I just have this like weird inkling that because she's maybe not as confident with straight up Ling Bane as she is with like the Mass Hydra style, she's going to be kind of looking to catch him off guard a little bit more.
That would make a lot of sense. I guess we'll see in just a moment if you are indeed correct. Here we go. First Metavex going across the map. Whatever units we had left over from the early game are going to be joining in as well. Now, you brought up the upgrades already. Only just now is when 1-1 rather starts up right here for the Terran. So this is a little bit of pressure. Zerglings are certainly needed, because otherwise, obviously, the Terran will just overwhelm you.
Yeah.
But Zerglings are really all you need, right? Queens and Lynx are going to be able to clean this up just fine.
For a moment, I was like, wow, she only has 9 Zerglings, but she was building 35, so that's okay.
You need probably about 40, maybe 50 or so here, so she should be okay. Getting the base cancel, though, would be massive. There is a little run by now.
Yeah, run by goes in the third. Just a few Lings. Nicely done. They are derping around a little bit. They finally start attacking the SCVs as the Queens engage. She does get a bit of damage on the Metavax. The Marines and the Hellions back off, and 4 SCVs, not bad. That was actually very well done by Scarlett. But problem, she didn't respread creep in the middle.
That is actually a pretty significant oversight. 1-1 is going to finish, though, and this is that attack that you were talking about, right? Or at the very least, one of the many options here that Scarlett could be going for.
Yeah, no Bane speed just yet, so this is more of like a run-by attempt, I think, than anything else.
Yeah.
I think it's a good timing because he just moved out with his army to rejoin on that south.
Bunker's empty.
She's getting in there. Very nicely done by Scarlett. She's going to get good damage.
Yeah, this is a lot of SCVs going down. In the meantime, though, there's a push on the other side of the map. Spirit has decided to commit to this fight. Need to siege up quick.
Oh, great decisiveness from Spirit. She's actually kind of forced his hand with that counterattack. She's not ready for it at all. He focuses down the Baneling. Scarlett is caught unprepared. She needs to give up ground and give up this base. A disaster for the Canadian Terran, Canadian Zerg, sorry, as Spirit pushes in. This is massive. She engages. Her Banes aren't here. Her Lings aren't here. She's going in piecemeal. A few panicky engagements there for Scarlett. She clears one tank, but there's another one behind it. She's going to lose the southern base.
Yeah, Spirit is settling for that base at the bottom. He knows that Baneling speed is going to finish up momentarily, and that's when this defense becomes a lot more manageable for our Zerg player. There's a lot of Banelings finishing up. I would not mind seeing the retreat right now, as we do have Scarlett overwhelming this. She does clean this up in the end, but that was very costly. Then again, though, Spirit lost a lot of workers at home.
He did, but look, now he's got a new army here. He's got a big army, she's got a big army, but he's the one setting up and taking the fights. And that is scary, because if he wins another fight here, he can rebuild behind it economically. She is pinned defensively. As a Zerg, you need space.
How far along is that new base that she's making? It's about halfway done.
Counterattack with everything? You might be right, Loco. It's hard for her to make that call in the heat of the moment, though. Ling's jumping on top. The Baneling's going after the Marines. Good spreading for Spirit. Oh, no, not a good spreading for Spirit. He takes a massive Baneling connection. That was a great fight for Scarlett.
Yeah, the Queen ends up going down here, but he stopped running for just a moment. You gotta stay on top of that Marine micro as much as possible. Now the Zerglings are once again going in for the counterattack. Has that bunker been filled up yet? If it hasn't, nope. Those SCVs are gonna have to run another time. And it's taken the wind out of the sails, right? So Spirit is now forced to go all the way back home with his entire army. Scarlett survives, and she didn't even need to give up that base.
Dude, that bunker has been a troll in this game. It's like building a police station in a high-crime neighborhood and then never actually staffing any officers there. It's just being an empty bunker every time a run-by gets in. Those SCVs...
It's intimidation.
Yeah! Why is it even here?
Just park a car outside. That's all you need to do. Here comes the Baneling run-by. Okay, Spirit is paying attention, and he has been on top of the defense every single time, but it's just, yeah, not been as successful on the other side of the map. It looked like it was going to be for just a moment, but suddenly the floodgates have been opened. Scarlett, of course, is going to be happy to overwhelm this if she can, but she really doesn't need to. 83 workers in total. High fires up right now for the Zerg. I mean, this is going incredibly well right now.
She's just going to lock down her defense, but instead she's keeping up the offense. That triple drop in her main base could cause problems. She's getting massive damage here. Spirit needs to annihilate her main base. Triple drop, 24 Marines and 3 Metavacs in the main. They have a mission, kill everything. And if they fall short of that, he's in massive trouble.
Yeah, the spawning pool right there ends up going down. We don't have any defensive Banelings at all, and that's going to be the last of the Banes as Baneling Nest number 1 falls as well. Scarlett will not be able to reproduce a Baneling Nest until that new spawning pool finishes, so she desperately here starts up an Infester. Okay, that was, I guess, best case scenario for Spirit, right? He really could have not hoped for a lot more than that. The question is, was it enough?
He needed more than that, though. That's it. I mean, he needed that. Just annihilate her. And look, her money's banking. She can't build anything except sit there for now.
Hydra Den would be nice pick.
It would be great, wouldn't it, right now? Anything, an Ultra Cavern, a Hydra Den. Probably not a Roach Warren with these upgrades, but he's stuck on 44 workers on 3 base, and it's just been Ling run by after Ling run by into Ling Bane attack. She's kept him on the back foot really well, and I think I really admire...
Oh, that's another meta effect going down. It's not a lot of damage from Fungal these days, but still enough to finish off low HP units. So this is going from bad to worse. Spirit going for what I consider to be his final attack. Scarlett is going to meet it off creep. She doesn't even need to be doing this, but she's very confident. I mean, those few Marines right there, though, really holding down that force of units.
Yeah, I don't know. That one Marine with a bayonet at the front just stabbing the Zerglings and Banelings as they come in.
You shall not pass.
Hold door!
Well, ultimately, though, does it really matter?
He's got to do a lot of heroic effort.
Oh, okay.
Nice pickup. Scarlett missing the attempt, or not even trying to take the attempt to Fungal there. I think she just assumed he would have picked up already and was looking elsewhere. Her Ling's coming down south as well.
This is still 3-base Terran, though, right?
Yeah.
Like this, Spirit is running out of steam. Like, even though all of these fights over the last couple minutes have been going pretty well,
he's looking for a Gumiho versus Serral from Sweden last year, you know. Kill the spawning pool and be in 4 mineral lines at the same time. The Liberated trying to kind of overload her there. It's all good ideas, but as you've pointed out, you know, even 2 Liberators.
This is looking a lot better than it was a few minutes ago, though. I think Spirit is just trying to play here. Like, if this was a ladder game, this would probably be one of those games where you already left, right? Because things have been so tough. But you can see that in StarCraft II, it's not over until a player GGs.
When was the last time you played Ladder Loco? Terrans never leave. They always stay in here microing their last.
You can always fly to Command Center too.
Yeah, this is the most Terran thing I've ever seen. I've got 1 Liberator and some Marines in a medevac. I'm going to keep microing and make it really hard to win.
Here we go, though. Fungals are landing this time around. Burrow is available too, so that Liberator is not going to be able to shut those units down. And ultimately, no medevacs available. Yeah, they show up a little bit too late. That's 2 more? No, just 1 more going down. But GG is called, and it's Scarlett who wins our first series of the tournament.
You can see there was a lot of tension in both players there as a little Rye shaking her head for Scarlett as she finishes that game off. A close series, a fun series, and always awesome to see in 2024 a sort of new meta style kind of showing itself big. Mass Hydralisks versus Terran. That was a lot of fun to watch.
Absolutely. Incredibly well played right there by the Canadian Zerg. Just going to go ahead and shake Spirit's hand too. Of course, is very frustrated here. In all games, there were moments, right, where things could have really flipped upside down. Like, this was an incredibly close series. I mean, if this is what the entire tournament is going to be like, we're in for a treat.
Very good way to start it off. And we were saying, you know, it could be some long games, could be really quick. Kind of ended up in the middle where, don't get me wrong, the players maxed out quickly, but because of that, it was an accelerated, just massive engagements, and it was just big armies crashing into each other. An awesome way to start the day. And, of course, a very nice start for the Canadian.
The creep spread here in this game was absurd.
It feels so bad when it's outside your base, right? When it's like,
You try so hard to hold onto your bases, and then you realize the creep is knocking at your third. Now, this game went a whole lot better for Spirit. It was almost a 1-to-1 copy as far as the first 8 or so minutes went, but ultimately Spirit got a much better position, and, well, it became pretty clear that Hydras may not have been the perfect choice right there for Scarlett. Still, she managed to bring it back in game number 3.
Yeah, just great positioning, I feel, for Spirit in this game. He really used all the ledges and choke points just right. The tanks were layered back very nicely, and of course he did win that game. But the Ling Bane counterattacks are what it was all about in game 3 to wrap up the series. It was constantly, even from the first attack, which was like 5 Zerglings, it forced 4 SCVs to go down, it forced his whole mineral line to run away, and then the ambushes didn't stop from then on. There was one moment as well.
Gandalf right over here.
Yeah.
There he is.
You shall not pass! A lot of very small Balrogs ran away in fear there. A fantastic way. Let's go over to the interview on the stage.
Thank you so much for calling that.